There's this weird mentality when it comes to social media. I need to keep gaining. So everybody makes content that's viral instead of making value-backed content. When I had 10,000 followers, I wanted 100,000. When I had a 250,000, I wanted 500,000. But a lot of these mentalities, they're broken because how are you going to make the money? I said some things, my account got shut down, my business was gone for 3 months. The biggest lesson for me was
Adam Frater is a calisthenics coach who has been exploding on YouTube and Instagram. And in this episode, he shared his formula for creating content that reaches millions. But he also told me about the dark side, how his account got shadow banned, which fundamentally changed the way that he looks at social media forever. This was the most raw and unexpected conversation that I've had on this podcast. Enjoy.
You said you had a bit of a situation when you made some comments. It got a big backlash.
Yeah.
And what was the consequence for you?
My account got taken down for a couple days. Then I got it back, I think after like maybe a couple days or a week later, and then it was shadow banned for 3 months. So where your account will tell you your reach won't go out to anybody other than your followers, which is actually kind of funny because that, dissuaded me from wanting to post. And this whole game of social media is keep posting to gain followers. If you made a post and you didn't gain followers, you didn't do anything good. But it totally negates the reality of you have followers. So you should probably be posting to engage the people who already follow you. But there's this weird mentality when it comes to social media. Like, I need to keep gaining. So everybody makes content that's new and exciting and viral instead of making value-backed content for their current followers. They always go after new followers. And I've noticed this, like I used to follow Liver King. I used to follow Knees Over Toes guy. I used to follow a lot of these big trending pages. They started trending. I got on board. I followed them like everybody else. And then after like 6 months or a year, I realized they post the exact same thing. No post is feeding me value. It's giving me the exact same message that got me to follow them to begin with. And I'm bored. So I think what I learned when I got my page shut down for 3 months was more or less, one, keep politics out of business. Each side of a political argument is going to want you to be the mouthpiece for them, especially if you have some bias towards that side. If you're, Israeli or Palestinian or Ukrainian or whatever, somebody's going to want you to be a mouthpiece for their cause, and you truly don't know what's happening. I mean, you only get the information that you get from the media. So I became a mouthpiece for a cause that, of course, I felt close to. I said some things. My account got shut down. My business was gone for 3 months. I couldn't run an ad. Of course, Facebook, Meta, Instagram swears that you can keep running ads. They're like, no, keep spending your money on our platform. We promise you a shadow ban won't affect your ads. My ads dropped in performance to like 1/15 of what they were performing at. So Facebook's lying you to get their money. They won't fix anything. I spend like $30,000 to $50,000 in ads per month on Facebook, and there's nobody to get in contact with when your account gets shut down. I called everybody. I have a few famous friends. I called Casey Neistat, who put me in touch with Adam Mosseri, who's the head of Instagram. They have so many checks and balances throughout the entire platform, as I imagine that they should. But yeah, I think, what we were talking about before we filmed, I'd say the biggest lesson for me was just to stop chasing going viral, because it's a lose-lose game. When I had 10,000 followers, I wanted 100,000. When I had 100,000, I wanted a 250,000. When I had a 250,000, I wanted 500,000. Now I'm closer to 1 million, and it's still not good enough. I still want the engagement of the guys that are doing better than me. I still want to be able to create easier content like these people and have it just go viral. I want to gain 1 million followers in a year like this guy. So it's just tons of comparing. And if the game is always more, then there's no specific amount where you're going to have reached fulfillment. So I think that a lot of people create. And the most desired job these days for like high school kids that take those placement exams is social media influencer, TikToker, YouTuber. So they want to be famous is what I hear. Like the number one job that they want is to be famous. Used to be doctor, used to be lawyer, used to be good careers where you knew you would make a lot of money. Now it's not about the money. It's, I want this career because I know I'll be recognized and I'll be famous. But a lot of these mentalities is they're broken or they're backwards, because how are you going to make the money? Now, I get a lot of messages from 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that message me and they're like, sir, I want a life just like you. How do I get paid by Instagram? I'm like, dude, I don't get paid by Instagram. Like I wouldn't make a single dollar with 1 million followers unless I had a product or some brand sponsoring me. And I think a lot of people don't realize what the purpose is. So they go out trying to create a ton of trendy viral content and they don't know what the plan is on the back end. Now, you yourself, your business, obviously it makes sense to create content, to do these podcasts, to help promote what you do as a businessman and what your business does. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm selling fitness programs, so I might as well be promoting fitness every day. If one of my fitness videos goes viral, somebody discovers my account, they wind their way into finding my program, that puts money in my pocket. If I don't have that, I'm just creating content for the heck of it. Sure, you can get paid for views, and I think Snapchat would pay you decently for views. TikTok, and Meta and Facebook, barely anything. Like, not even enough to buy food for the week, even with hundreds of thousands of followers. At least that's my experience.
So what are the implications for you from a business standpoint and from an income standpoint? Because it's not just followers, right? Like there is a consequence because you just said you have online programs. So you might be chasing the followers, but you also have implications for your lifestyle, your income and all of that. Is that proportionate? Like at some point you say, okay, now I can do this for a living. And then, okay, I'm getting to this amount of followers and this kind of engagement. And now my income is multiplied by whatever.
Yeah, I would say there's a bit of it that's proportionate in the world of influencers, and I don't recognize myself as an influencer. I'd say an influencer is somebody who creates a large following and then works with brands to promote brand deals. I'm not interested in promoting other
Yeah.
brands, especially products that I don't use. I just want to promote what I actually believe in. So I've been offered tons of money from supplement companies, protein companies to promote their products, to say that I achieved my physique using their stuff, but it's just not true. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you recognize if a brand's willing to pay me money to promote their products, I bring value. And I bring more value than the brand's going to pay me for. So if I can create my own product, I can make a significantly more larger margin into my pocket. And that's more of the entrepreneurial perspective. So I would say in terms of sponsorships, it is proportional. As you gain more following, as you gain higher engagement, you'll get larger sponsorship deals. But if that's not the route that you want to take, and if you actually want to build a business, it's actually backwards to what most people think. Most people think, I want to get a ton of views on a post, on a reel, whatever, hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And in those views, I'll get hundreds of thousands of likes, and then some comments and whatever else comes along with it. My most engaging post, the post that lead me to the most follower growth, is actually backwards. So if you look at your insights on Instagram, let's say, usually from left to right, you see views, likes, comments, shares, and saves. And everybody thinks that's the importance. Views first, you see 1 million people saw it, likes, comments. If you go the other way, you read from right to left, it's saves, shares, comments. If a post has a lot of saves, a lot of people don't think about this. What does that actually mean? Well, if you did a backflip and you fell on your head and somebody saved it, sure, they just want to look at it again because it's fun to watch. But if you did a workout teaching people 5 exercises to build a chest, or a bigger chest, or what exercises you can do to burn belly fat, and somebody saved that, that means that person is deeming you an expert on the topic. They're going to come back, they're going to watch it again. So you're going to get a single individual that rewatches that video 1, 2, 3, or 4 times. Now that person and you have built a connection. That person is significantly more likely to buy something from you. So the majority of content that I try to create is not just viral. Do something crazy, do something funny, double backflip off of a thing. I used to do that when I was younger, but I realized one of my top reels did 160 million views. I'm sliding down a pull-up bar, but I played it in reverse, so it looks like I'm climbing. It's not a pull-up bar, a vertical like pole dancing bar. So it looks like I'm sliding up it. I did it in reverse. It's not even me actually doing it with my skills. Did 160 million views. Got 100,000 followers overnight. Did I sell 10x the amount of programs that day? No, because the people see me sliding up a pole in reverse are not like, oh, that's the guy I want to go learn workouts from. They just said, here's some cool content to watch. So it depends what you're selling. In my world, I'm selling fitness, so I want to make value-backed content. I create content for saves and for shares more than I create it for likes and for views. And what ends up happening is it gets more likes and more views. You know, if I pulled up my Instagram, there's plenty of things I've created that have more likes than shares. But sometimes I'll do like an ab exercise or a specific muscle group exercise, and it will have more saves than it has likes. 20,000 saves, 15,000 likes. I don't give a shit about a like. 15,000 people saved this. They're going to come back and watch that again. That's huge in my world for what I'm selling. Not for everybody.
This is super interesting because when you go down the influencer route, you're also bound to create content that is basically not you. So you are kind of leveraging your audience to promote someone else's products, which your audience is not going to like, most likely, because they don't give a shit, right, about someone else's, I don't know what, protein powder or something. They can see it, right, that it doesn't help them in any way. How do you think that effect is? Because I'm sure you have friends or know a lot of people that follow that route, or the influencer route, and they're in this like vicious cycle of, okay, I have to get, post thirst traps, and then I have to get brand deals, and then my followers are like, basically my engagement gets lower every time. If you feel like you have to get all the followers and the likes and all that stuff, how must they feel, right? That must be even worse.
Yeah, I definitely would feel like that's more of a struggle. You know, my ex-girlfriend was an influencer by definition. She makes her money 100% from brand deals, doesn't have a business of her own. And I've helped her and tried to help her with the projects. Now, granted, she gets paid a ton of money for some of these deals, but like there's something like in my soul personally that wouldn't sit right with just accepting any product that wants to pay me and pretending like I take it. Now, I know that this is normal in the world. You have LeBron on a Gatorade ad. You have, Michael Jordan drinking Dr. Pepper, and, these athletes that are put on these products that that they don't consume to be performing at that high of a level. I think social media is like my choice of what I get to put on my page. I'm not a celebrity. I don't have somebody curating my feed. And it's my choice to not want to dissuade people with this. Now, I've tried, and it just feels so unnatural to try to tell somebody I did all of this with this product and it's not true. I don't know if there's a piece of it might be tied to my ego. Like, no, what I did personally is why I achieved results, not just this product. But yeah, I mean, like I said, at my ex-girlfriend, it was just one thing to the next to the next. And it was funny because, when you date somebody, you become a combination of 5 people you spend your time with. Well, when you date somebody, you spend a lot of time with that person. My ex started following a lot of my healthy lifestyle things, started looking at ingredient labels, started questioning things. So when she gets sponsored by some sugary, processed pre-workout drink, and she's not even in the fitness space, she going and telling everybody this is the best pre-workout. Well, she used to take it. Then we started dating, and I said, nothing's better than salt water and lemon when it comes to pre-workout. Now she won't touch the stuff, but of course she's going to keep promoting it. So here's something that she knows is unhealthy, won't take, but of course will keep promoting because she knows she's going to get paid for it. Now, to anybody who wants to make the kind of money that she has, they're going to be thrilled that somebody has an opportunity like that. For everyone else who's on the other side being sold to, they would probably say that's bullshit if they knew what was going on behind the scenes.
Do you think she's burning her audience though? Like, don't you think? I'm just wondering if like the churn and the kind of like loss of engagement is higher on somebody who would do brand deals versus somebody who sells the thing that is 100% in line with what you already do on Instagram, right? It's an extension. So, you have your content tutorials and stuff like that on how to, build your chest. And then you have a program that helps people achieve certain things. It makes sense, right? I wonder if that's the case.
Yeah, I think it is for sure, and it just depends with what finesse you do it, I guess you would say. If all of a sudden you're making organic content, then it's just like, here's the new Bang Energy. You should shake your booty while you drink it. Like, sure, that like comes off as a placement. A lot of the bigger influencers know their brands and they're negotiating in the contract a way to like organically feature it in some regard, some form or fashion.
Dude, you were talking about creating content that gets saves. Let's talk about content creation. What kind of content gets saves in your experience?
My experience is if you create content that's more garnered for saves rather than likes and views, then that content actually has a higher chance of going viral. And I wouldn't swear by this, but my experience has been with whatever the algorithm is in Instagram, if the algorithm sees a post getting a bunch of saves and shares versus just a bunch of views, they favor that content. And in the second, third, fourth day after posting, maybe even a week after posting, that content will start to trend. But for me, I post content with value. Now, what's content with value? If I just do a backflip on the beach, that's cool. It's nice. It's beautiful. You don't need to watch it again, right? If I explain to you how to properly jump, swing your arms, and use your core to engage and do this and or that in order to learn how to backflip, and you've always wanted to learn, and now you heard something you've never heard before, you're going to save that. You're going to come back to that post. You might even come back to my page and see what else does he educate me on. Now that person has way more of an affinity for me or the person that they're following. So quick likes, that stuff's cool. Post a shot of you going like this. Somebody like it in 2 seconds, they're on to the next one. If you have a 20-second, 30-second reel that somebody wants to save or share, they probably watched it twice before they saved it. And if they're saving it, they're definitely going to watch it a second time or a third time or a fourth time. Well, in the world of social media where content comes and goes in a day, you post something and it's gone the next day, that's really valuable. That means something you posted a year ago, people might still reference. And as far as Facebook ads are concerned, when you're targeting an audience, like I run lots of ads to sell my programs, I can target people who have saved posts versus people who have liked posts versus people who just follow me. And what do you think is going to be the warmer lead and more likely to lead to a sale? It's the people that have liked posts or saved posts.
What are your digital products? What's your monetization setup right now?
Yeah, so right now what I'm selling is a program called Project Shred. Obviously, I post all about body weight and calisthenics. Project Shred is a 30-day body weight only calisthenics program meant to get you in shape. Comes with a diet, supposed to help you cleanse for 30 days, eliminate certain foods. You're not counting calories or counting macros, just eliminating anti-inflammatory processed foods, and at the same time doing a body weight workout every single day that challenges you. Whether you want to lose weight or build muscle, the workout would be the same. This is going to challenge you. It's going to help you build cardio. It's going to help you build mobility. You're going to start to build body control with body weight movements, and you're going to build strength. If after Project Shred you want to keep training, part of the Project Shred subscription includes other programs as well. I have a handstand program. I have something called Cali Bulk. It's a 12-week calisthenics bulking program. I have a mobility program coming soon to the app. So what's that?
I said I want to sign up for that.
Yeah, dude, I'll hook you up with anything. But I have a variety of different things. So right now my funnel gets people in at Project Shred. Most people want to know how to get shredded.
That's a subscription?
It's a subscription, yeah. So I decided to play into what I noticed most people, I guess, look at me or respect me for, which is shreddedness. I'm not going to teach people how to get big. I'm not going to teach people how to lose 100 pounds. Like, I'm going to stay in my lane, which is how can you use body weight? How can you work out from home with minimal equipment and get into awesome shape? And I'll be honest with you, like I've seen a lot of online programs. A lot of them really suck. Like the marketing's really good, but then you get in and the workouts like 3 sets of 10 bench press, Russian dips, Russian twists, burpees, like simple workouts that are just going to be boring. And like my workout's fun, man. Like I actually do it, and it involves like a lot of cool movements. Like you don't need to be able to muscle up. You don't need to be an expert. There's beginner levels. There's progressions for every workout, but everybody that does it has a blast. Everybody gets into crazy shape. I have some awesome before and after photos and testimonials from my users. And yeah, that's pretty much it right now. What I'm trying to do is build out the funnel on the back end, because right now pretty much all I sell is the subscription. And then after they sign up, because I don't take supplements and I don't peddle other brands stuff that I don't actually take, I'm not selling people on things. So I'm not necessarily going to start peddling supplements. I might provide my users with some pre-vetted supplements if they choose that they want it. Here's some options that I've researched that are good, and maybe I'll have some affiliate deals. But these are little hacky ways that if anybody's listening, that you can build out your business. You don't always have to develop a product. You can go find a product that you like, reach out to the company and see if they're willing to work in some sort of affiliate capacity because you have a big email list or you have a big following or you can bring some value there. So right now my goal is just build out the back end, affiliate offers, things like that. I'm working on an apparel line. Got to get some clothes.
Which channel are you getting most of your customers from right now? I have a suspicion.
What do you think?
YouTube. Like real
No.
buyers.
It's not YouTube.
Well,
No.
excluding ads. I mean organically.
Oh, okay. Organically. It's hard to say. I don't have a tracking link on YouTube separate from Insta. I should probably look into that because my YouTube is growing a little bit bigger. But yeah, I have a buddy of mine who sells a similar program, does no ads, and just make sure he's posting 1 to 2 long form YouTube videos per week. Yeah, for me, I've always relied on ads.
That's really interesting because like most people at your scale don't. They have no idea about ads. So I was super surprised when you mentioned ads. Then you mentioned that you spent 30, 50K.
Yeah, so well, I think most people, one, they don't know how to do it. My background's in digital marketing, so before I ever did, this influencer world, I was doing this for other brands, building funnels, landing pages, whatnot. So I think if you're in my position and you need to outsource and hire somebody to do all of that for you, then it just becomes, you obviously make less money, right? So for me, I rely on the ads because I don't want to have to rely on posting. I rely on ads because, and there's no way around this. I was in denial about this for a long time, but yeah, so most of my sales come from ads and I rely on ads and I'm lucky that I can do ads. Most people, most influencers rely entirely on organic. They don't want to run ads because they'd have to hire somebody, have to hope that that ads person is good at what they do and at a price that it makes sense. And sometimes there isn't that much of a margin on a sale. And since I do ads and landing pages and marketing and stuff, I can do it all myself. But the reason I rely on ads is because I never wanted to be a trainer. I never wanted to work in the fitness world. And I sure as heck never wanted to be an influencer because I was raised, I guess, like in more of like the old school mentality of like, go start a real business. And although like old school people don't look at new school jobs as being realistic, there is an aspect to it. Like if you're an influencer, I'm sure there's plenty of influencers whose parents are like, go get a real job. And where they're half wrong, they're also half right. Because like I explained earlier, if you make a post, your account gets flagged or you get hacked or something and your account goes down overnight, your career's gone instantly, right? For the 3 months that my account was shadow banned, my entire business was shut down. Now we started secondary pages, tried to run ads and do these things. It didn't work. So 3 months of being shadow banned was 3 months of no business. As a 30-something-year-old man that needs to support himself, that's not an option. So I've always ran ads because that's the only way that I saw to build a scalable business. And if I build a scalable business, that's something that I can discuss with other brands to potentially a potential buyout or acquisition opportunity. If the entire brand relies on me posting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there's no VC or brand in the world that's going to have any interest in that. Not to mention, how do you scale it? If I want to scale my business, let's say we do, I don't know, 50K a month. If I wanted to take it up to 100K a month, how would I do that if I was only posting organically? Just hope I have a few YouTube videos or Instagram videos go viral? Well, in my case, I can just double the ad spend. It's not always that simple,
But you have a massive advantage towards, like, compared to brands and people that build products who don't have a big following, which is you can retarget and you can reach those people that have already seen your content and seen your brand and kind of know you already. I mean, it's great for Meta because you basically create content and then you pay to reach people that you've already reached before, but it makes your ads cheaper and more profitable, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's a great point. One of the ways of using ads for anybody that's nervous on how to use ads that's watching this podcast, here's like the basic principles for a beginner. The first ad that you should ever get into place is called a retargeting ad, like you mentioned. It retargets people who already know about you, specifically people who have already been to your website. So if you have a landing page for your website for whatever it is that you're selling, most likely, like, consumer behavior is not somebody goes on a website and buys right away. Usually they go on the site and they need to be reminded to buy the next day or over the course of the next week. Usually the 7 days after the first view, like the first website view, is like the 7 days that you want to convert somebody. So the first ad that should go up should target people that have already seen the site so they get reminded the next day. Now, I think every consumer knows what this is like. You go on a website to shop for men's apparel, women's apparel, and then the next day or the next hour you get an ad for it because you didn't buy. That's retargeting. So those are the cheapest ads that you can serve that will get you the best return. Now, once you have the retargeting ads in place and you're making good money off of retargeting, your job now is to fill the bucket, so to say. If I know that of all of the people that land on my website, I can retarget and get X percentage of them to purchase, now how do I fill this bucket and get as many people to the website as possible? I can do that organically through Instagram, through YouTube, or I can pay for ads to open up the top of the funnel, knowing that I'll convert them for retargeting. So even if you don't have a large audience, you're doing yourself a disservice by not having a retargeting ad in place. In my case, because I have a large audience, and not even just a large audience, because I have an audience that's very specific to fitness, I can target, and this is one of my more successful ads, I target what's called all page engagement. Anybody who's engaged with my Facebook or Instagram page in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, I do the last 30 days. So it's somebody fresh. So you're right. My audience totally applies when I target people that have engaged in the last 30 days, or I target people that have saved or liked posts on my page. Absolutely.
Dude, let's talk about some growth tactics a little bit, nitty-gritty stuff on the platforms. So I checked, what channels you're on. You're on YouTube, obviously, Instagram, Facebook as well, big on Facebook, and then TikTok. So how are these 4 channels different for you?
TikTok's useless for me. That's just playing the younger man's game, I guess. Since everybody's blowing up on TikTok, everybody told me just put your content on TikTok as well, which I've been doing. I guess there's a link in my bio, so possibly people could discover me, but I don't even use TikTok personally, like for fun, for scrolling. I have enough mindless scrolling apps. I don't need another one. And that one's even more like that'll suck you in and never let you out. Instagram's the bread and butter. I think Instagram over time has become like a website for people. Instead of going to Google and going to adamfrater.com, you're going to go to Instagram, you're going to search my name. Or, if you're going to a new restaurant, so you might not go to Google and Google the restaurant. You might Instagram the restaurant, see pictures of the food, pictures of the menu. So I think everybody in every business needs an Instagram just for the sake of search. People just wanting to get like a look inside. YouTube has been interesting because YouTube's one of the faster growing platforms for me. I used to post long form content very sparingly years ago. A few videos went viral. So I have a pretty big YouTube audience, but YouTube shorts are like, I'm getting tons and tons of followers from YouTube shorts where I'm not doing so with Instagram. Instagram seems to be pretty limited when it comes to my growth. But YouTube's also a different platform. You're not as like personally connected. Now, where I say this, I think everybody's experience is different. I have some friends that got famous and or popular from YouTube long form content years ago. They have millions on YouTube. Maybe they only have 100,000 on Instagram, but the people that came over from YouTube to Instagram friggin' love them. They're super fans. So they have tons of engagement from those people, although they have much less followers than me. People that make it on Instagram have always struggled to also make it on YouTube because your Instagram followers are not likely to have been exposed to you for long enough. Like YouTube long form content, they've watched you for 10, 20 minutes, hours at a time. Instagram's always 30 seconds at a time. It's harder to get them over to YouTube. So right now, what's interesting is because all of these platforms are prioritizing short form content, you can make one reel, put it on Instagram, put it on YouTube, put it on TikTok, and you don't have to change a thing. And now you just hit 3 platforms with the same content. Now, I will say where that's the reality, what I've noticed is my content happens to do really well in YouTube, a little bit better than it does on Instagram, and not nearly as good on TikTok. Now, if I wanted to make better TikTok content, I kind of get a grasp of TikTok. Voiceovers do really well on TikTok. Like, guys, let me show you a video on how I'm going to do. You speak in a really high-pitched voice, you act really immature, and you almost talk as if you're speaking to teenagers, and TikTok, you'll do amazingly well. YouTube's a little bit more mature and Instagram's more mature. And I think a lot of people can see this. You see people that you knew tried really hard to build followings on Instagram and they were never really able to. Their content never trended. And then a few years later, you look at their TikToks, they have millions on TikTok and they post all their content over on Instagram and it doesn't do well on Instagram. Obviously, part of that has to do with the TikTok algorithm, but I feel like TikTok is the place for like immature, super saturated, like overacting, like where you don't try to be natural. Like TikTok's the place where I see people give homeless people money and like you can tell it's for the camera. TikTok's the place where you set up fake reactions and you overact and pretend like that person in the background was really some stranger. I feel like everybody knows.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a finesse for learning these platforms. Now I will say where the one platform I know the least is Snapchat. I think I missed the curve because of my age. Snapchat pays the most of any platform. If you are just purely a content creator, not trying to sell brand stuff or push people to your URLs, Snapchat will pay you a ton of money for your engagement.
I think you summed it up like really well, at least for how I look at the platforms. And I actually never really noticed this, but you're so right, dude. If I follow somebody on YouTube and watch their videos, if I make the effort to look them up on Instagram, that's a big deal. That means I love them, like you said. And that has only happened like a handful of times. So that's such an interesting observation, man. I never really paid attention to that. Dude, for content creation, how do you create content? Like you obviously publish on all these different platforms, there's different content formats. What's your workflow of serving the platforms?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I think content is the content is the difference maker, right? If you can create really high quality content that is, I don't know, hits all of the markers as to what makes something viral or perform well, obviously you're going to do well. If you have really amazing camera gear and you know how to use it to your advantage, it's going to help. There's some people who have pages that you can tell they shot on an old iPhone and they still grew. So this isn't like something that's set in stone. But in terms of content, I mostly shoot on my iPhone. I have an iPhone 15. I always think it's worth the investment to have the most updated smartphone. Obviously, if this is your career or something that you're trying to put a lot of time into, you want to have the best equipment possible. I know that's expensive, but shooting on an iPhone 12 versus an iPhone 15 is going to be very different for the viewers, and they're going to notice the difference. If you can take it to the next level and shoot on a camera, I shoot on a Sony a7S III. It's a pretty professional camera. I don't shoot on that very frequently because it makes my workflow a lot harder. Now I have a heavy camera in my bag. I have a tripod. I have to set it up, make sure I have the lighting and everything ready for each shot. iPhones do automatic lighting, automatic focus, all that kind of stuff. So really for someone who doesn't have much film experience, you can do it all with your phone. But the biggest piece of advice I'd tell anybody that's trying to figure out how to make better content is to start recognizing what you like. You follow a bunch of other people that are followed by tons of other people. How are they shooting their content? You can always try to reinvent the wheel, do something unique, and that can help you trend. But you can also just start to copy what you see. Now, I have people sometimes that send me messages asking me how they can improve their content. I look at their feed, and you guys know a reel is 9:16. It's a long vertical form. Some people upload a horizontal video to the vertical form. So here's my phone. This screen is super small right now. And now I have just a small little horizontal video. I'm not even using the whole screen. And in that horizontal video, the person's 20 feet away from camera. So they're literally like a little freckle on the screen. You can barely tell what they're doing. And that's because they're so worried about, the camera cutting off their feet, their head, their whatever. Now, if you look at some accounts that have tons of engagement, they're usually shot on a pro camera so close up that I'm almost this big in the frame like I am in this video with tons of my body cut off. But instead, I feel like I'm popping out of the phone, and you can see that difference. So my advice is find content that you like and study it. Think of it like school. What did this person do? Where was the lighting source when this video was shot? How far away do you think this person was from camera? What's the framing? Are they in the center, the top, the bottom? Is there text? How big is the text? Where's the text going to go? And the biggest thing right now is the hook. How did they get you to watch past the first 3 seconds of the video? And that's really where it's at right now with the trending content, is how are you going to hook people in? You don't just start by going into a this or a that. Sometimes a lot of the hooks are how to build a bigger chest. What I learned after taking protein for 30 days. Like, you're starting to tease at a story. So what I learned after eating McDonald's for 2 months, people are like, oh, ooh, I want to know what this guy learned. Now they're paying more attention. So those are kind of my tips in a nutshell.
Let's talk about short form video. Like, what would be your go-to formula to create a killer short form video that hits millions of views?
Yeah, I mean, one, you never know. You always hope it's going to do well. So even if you put a lot of effort in, sometimes you're surprised it doesn't do as well. And often you put a lot less effort into some videos that do a lot better. So, and that should tell you something. Instead of frustrating you, that should tell you something, and you should look at why that possibly happened. But my workflow is I get an idea of what content that I want to create, whatever the video is. I have a note in my phone. When I see interesting reels, I save them, and then I convert them into what version I think would be interesting for my world of fitness and whatnot. For instance, I saw, everybody knows Connor Price. He like makes all of the trending TikTok videos that everybody's using in their reels. He got famous as an artist by making really viral content around his music, where he would pretend to be 3 different people in a skit. And he was obviously always himself. So he's the producer, then he's the rapper, then he's the cousin of the rapper, and the camera jumps all around. I thought that was super unique, so I started doing something similar for the health-based questions. When somebody asks you the best way to burn fat, I can be the person asking me, and I can be me. So I'm just giving you an example. I had this idea. So take my camera, go outside. Now I have the experience that I know how I'm going to film this already in my head. Maybe somebody else, it takes twice as long. You shoot, you edit, you figure out what's going to work. But I will say that creating content's daunting. Like today, I don't have a post. I posted yesterday. It did okay. Would have liked it to have done better, as we always would. But I don't have anything to post today. Now, if I feel the pressure that I need to post today, I'm going to go dig something up out of my camera that's not going to be good enough. I'm going to post it, and it's also not going to do as well as I thought. So recently I've decided that I'm going to do a little bit less. I don't know if this is advice for everybody, but I'd rather post less frequently, higher value content, rather than posting more frequently, lower value content. And I see way too many friends that feel pressured by posting every day because somebody told them you need to feed the algorithm regularly, which is somewhat true, but they post every single day and they post shitty content. I'm friends with them and I scroll past it because I know it's going to suck. So there's definitely the influencers you follow that you're ready to see their stuff every day. And then there's the people you forget that you follow because they post once a month. But when they post, it's a banger. I don't think that there's any wrong answer. But I would say if you can templatize your content creation, as in there's a template that you can follow more or less with a little flexibility, that's the best way to do it. And for a brief example, I would say, when I do fitness tutorial videos or workout tips, that model is really templatized. I can repeat it, and I know those videos will always do pretty well. Now, what I mean is, like, if I say, here's a 10-minute ab exercise, my template is the camera's on me, I'm shirtless, I'm flexing my abs, and I say, there's no audio because I'm going to play music over it, but I do something like I pat my abs, I say 10-minute core workout, it goes over to the next thing, and then I just film 5 exercises, 5 reps of 5 exercises. So, I did 5 hanging leg raises, I did 5 bicycle kick crunches, I did 5 knee tuck jumps, and I filmed each of those from a different camera angle. It took 20 seconds to film each workout. I cut it down to 5 seconds each. I have 5 exercises that are 5 seconds. That's a 25-second video, plus a 5-second intro video of me tapping my abs. That's a 30-second video, and I can repeat that a million times with a million different body parts with a million different workouts.
Do you bulk produce?
No.
Interesting. A lot of content creators they talk to, they're like, all right, once a month I sit down and I just like freaking 3 days, I just go full on and then I create everything that I need for the month, or even like 2 months or something like that.
I think at least in my world of fitness, like you could do it with fitness. I could go out to the gym, the track, the whatever. with a few different pairs of shorts, so I'm not always wearing the same clothes, and shoot a bunch of those workout tutorial style things I could. I wouldn't really have fun doing it, to be honest with you. Like, I almost squeeze my content in after my workout. Like when I'm done actually training, then I'm like, ooh, like I have a pump. I'm in, I'm sweaty or whatever. Let me do this content. What I don't like, and this is what's tough, is I never wanted to make fitness a business because for me, fitness is my life. It is actually my passion, and I truly do love it, and I need it. The problem is when it becomes a job. If I'm going to the gym later, I'm going to the gym today around like 2. Do I film or do I, get into my flow state and just do what I love? And that'll always be the big debate when your work is what you love. If you become a travel creator, my ex-girlfriend was a travel creator. I don't even think she actually likes traveling anymore because every time she's traveling, she doesn't actually get to experience it because she's too busy trying to figure out how to film and create like fake memories around it. So there's definitely like a finesse in this world of content and influencers. Like how many people have woken up early or chased sunsets across the world just to look at it through the lens of their camera, and they didn't actually sit there and take it in at all. But they posted it to their millions of followers, and their followers think this person has seen the world. They've seen all these amazing things. Did they see the world? Or did they look at it through a camera the same way you're looking at it? They were there in person, but they were looking through their screen, and now you're watching on your screen. Like, there's definitely a lot of ways to go wrong throughout this journey, and there's no problem with that because I think along the way you will learn how to make it work for you. But I don't want people to be disillusioned to imagine that millions of followers answers all your problems, means you have a huge social circle, a really fun life, and you never have struggles. Like if anything, there's way more pressure on you and way more struggles.
There are like 2 or 3 more things that I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
One more thing is about, I guess, your social media and content work. Do you leverage collabs with other creators to grow your channel?
No, I have not, but it's funny that you mentioned that because that's something that I want to start doing again. When I first got started, one of the biggest boosts, let's say 10 years ago, to getting my Instagram past 1,000 followers was one of my friends at the time had a large audience, and the two of us were practicing for America's Got Talent together. So he would share me in a few stories and some posts. And when you're getting started, I think it's tough to go from a few hundred followers being like mostly your friends and family to all of a sudden strangers start following you. And that transition's tough, right? Is 3,000 followers enough for a stranger to say, I'm going to go follow this guy? Is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? Well, I think for the last 5 years, forgot how I got started, and that was through collabing mainly. And recently I did a collab with Jonah, who introduced us. And dude, it did like 10 million views on YouTube Shorts. And it did pretty well on Instagram as well. So I wouldn't collab with just anybody, but I think if I can collab in a way that it's reflecting what I do and showing it on somebody other than myself, that becomes really interesting. If I collab on, I don't know, doing pottery or ceramics, I don't think that would have as much interest. But because I do calisthenics, like me and Jonah did a collab video of yoga and calisthenics coming together. And if you think about
Yeah,
why
I
this
saw that.
video did so well, it's because it was a story. Like it told you a story. It wasn't just watch this content. It was, here's a calisthenics guy, here's a yoga guy. They're going to do each other's workouts. So here's the yoga guy. He did some muscle ups, and everybody's like, wow, he was able to do that difficult calisthenics move. Now the calisthenics guy's chance to do some yoga, and vice versa. So people want to keep watching, and maybe somebody fails a little bit and somebody struggles with this move. Like you're learning so much. It's fun to watch. And what people don't realize is like in the same way people used to watch TV shows and movies and things like that, now people are watching YouTube. They're going to YouTube to kill 30 minutes.
100%.
And you can't, they don't want to just go to YouTube and have a bunch of random things thrown at them. They want to be taken on a journey psychologically in the same way that TV shows always have. You start the show with a hook, kind of teasing what the story is, and then you slowly work your way into it. There's rising drama, there's the climax, whatever the parts of a story are. So I'm gonna start collabing more. I'm also single now, so I think I can collab more with women, which would be beneficial for growing my audience. Because right now it's mostly men that follow me. But I'll add this as an interesting fact. A lot of people would be really surprised to know that my audience, and I think I'm at like 700 and something thousand followers on Instagram. My audience is mostly men, and when I say mostly, like it's 90% men in my analytics.
They want to look like you, man. That's why.
Exactly, but also like there's this misconception from men in the gym world. You think if you get big biceps, you do a bunch of steroids, and you go hit the gym, that you're going to be this big alpha male, and women are going to look at you and they're going to want you. No. Like, if anything, it's dudes that want you. The biggest bodybuilder at the gym gets all of the appreciation and recognition from the other dudes at the gym. It doesn't even have to
Yeah.
be gay men. I'll have straight men come up to me, dude, what do you do for your abs, your biceps? They ask you all the questions. Never had a girl come up to me and be like, your body. Oh my God. Women aren't thirsty like men. We follow all the hot fitness chicks because we're like, oh my God, I want a girl with a body like that. Women don't look at men and say, oh, I want a man with a body like that, which is fine.
Dude,
I'm not selling to women, I'm selling to men.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, for you, it's great.
Right.
That's exactly what you need. All right, man. Final two questions, man. How do you deal with haters?
I don't really have too many of them. I've always kind of positioned my brand as someone who I feel like is hard to hate because I never attacked anybody. I might have said I don't do weights and I don't do steroids or supplements, but I never said fuck steroids or screw people who do this. But every now and then you do get it. And I would say that hate is a trophy that you get when you're successful. I don't think that there's any path to success that isn't going to bring some sort of hate because there's a balance with everything in life. So where you get fans and you get credibility, you're also going to get the balance and people that disagree with you. It doesn't bother me. Honestly, my ego is so fine from it. I've watched influencer friends, my last, girlfriend, like freak out because they care so much what people think. The truth is, and this is the best thing that's probably said on this podcast for anybody listening who wants to grow an account, is lean into the hate. Don't try to avoid it. Don't try to do the opposite of what the haters might be implying. Do exactly what they hate you for, because that's what makes your shit go viral. And people don't realize that.
Can you give an example?
If you are polarizing instead of too scared to insult anybody, if you're polarizing, there will be a ton of people who hate you, but there'll be people who love you so much. So as people debate in your comments, don't even worry about the hate coming your way. Let your fans and the haters go at it, and that's going to make you do better. Not to mention, if you really want a strong fan, start speaking the language that like is going to appeal to them.
I have the last question for you, man. If you had to start all over with your content creation, which channel would you focus on?
If I had to pick one.
Okay, like let's say you had to start all over. What would you do?
If I had to start over, I would probably do my best to collab with as many people at the beginning as possible to try to get me over the hump of, the initial first few thousand followers. I would really templatize my content and make sure I'm posting consistently, let's say 5 times a week. I'd be way more diligent with it. I would do, like you suggested earlier, probably have 1 day per week where I film as much content as I can to make sure that I have something always on hand instead of like last minute trying to put something together. And the biggest thing of all is I would have to remind myself every day that this is a momentum based thing. So after the first month of putting in all of this effort, I probably won't see results. After the second, the third, the fourth month, I still might not see results. But over the course of time, if you can continue to make good quality content and post regularly, you will eventually see those results. But note, you need to make that good quality content. If you make shitty quality content, but you post every single day for 10 years, you probably won't see anything. So yeah, if I had to start all over, I wouldn't do so much different than I'm doing now, except I would put in significantly more effort into the content side to just keep having content.
That is really good advice, man. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of value from that. It's momentum, right? You put in the work and it's an exponential thing where it's really flat in the beginning and then you see some results, and then like one thing leads to another and then it picks up. but the only way it can pick up is you stay consistent and do the work.
Absolutely. But I also think it's important to really define what all of the work is for. Kind of like we talked about at the beginning. What do you want the following for? What's the goal? Is it just for your ego, for fun? Well, that's one thing. Is it to help, spiral into you starting a business? Because I'll be honest too, like if I have other businesses I do on the side that are outside of fitness, and in the course of the next year, one of them is likely to start paying me more than I've made in fitness. If that happens, I've been asking myself, what does the future of my content creation or my influencerness look like? Because if I didn't have to create fitness content, would I keep doing it? I don't know the answer. Maybe I would take on more of like a vlog lifestyle type page where I just share things that are happening in my life, and I care less about whether 10,000 people liked my ab workout because I'm not selling workouts anymore.
Any words, closing words for new fitness creators out there that are learning the ropes and getting started?
Yes. Let's see. Don't skip the process just because you have to create content and just because the content you want to get the likes and the credibility and everything like that. I think the one thing that has set me aside is that I achieved the skills, the body, the physique, all of that before I ever did the content. So I actually was creating great content and people were seeing a model in the content that they could aspire to be like, as opposed to me not being in great enough shape, spending more time on my content than I actually am at perfecting the skill that I'm trying to sell to people. So that's a backwards mentality. You got to be the best at what you're doing, not just the best at creating content for it, but the best actor or model in your own content. So put just as much time into the skill, into the workouts, into your body as you do into promoting everything that you're doing, into all the content.
Those are some epic last words for this episode, man. Thank you so much for sharing this, man, and for this conversation. Super insightful. It went in a very different direction than I thought, but this was so much more valuable than what I had in mind, man. So I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much for sharing all this, brother.
No, I'm glad, dude. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for watching this episode. I hope you got tons of value out of it. Make sure to check out Adam on YouTube and Instagram. And if you like this episode, there are tons more on this channel. So hit subscribe to be the first one to know when they drop. I appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.